Praying for you.
Golly, yeah, there's some bad news in the radio.
Welcome in, latest episode of that SEC podcast. I'm your host, Michael Bratton. I go by SEC Mike on the Twitters, and there's everybody's favorite cousin, Shade. How's it going, brother?
Hey, buddy, what's going on?
Oh, man, it's decision day. It is the time we've all been waiting for. We are going to elect the 12-team playoff. Come on. We're doing this live, so they're literally going to reveal it here in just a moment, and then we get into SEC previews. But how you feeling, Shane? I'm seeing an Indiana damn logo on the screen right now. Get that damn team out of here. You know what?
Oh, gosh. I tell you what, buddy. This is a big one. I know they say polls don't matter, blah, blah, blah. Preseason polls, I'm right there with you. But the playoff poll is a little bit different, Mike, because I think you get a real good pulse of where they think these teams are and who really needs to put on a show the next 4 weeks, you know?
Right. And also, who in the hell cares? Just give us the poll. They're going to meander for 10, 15 minutes. We figure we might as well sit here and chalk it up with us. Shout out SB. He says, Cousin Shane always brightens up my day. What's going on? So we appreciate you, SB.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, buddy. Everybody knows. Everybody knows what's going on today, Mike. I get it. You know, there's a lot of people are going to be glued to their TVs, but, you know, sometimes you need a little break. And that's what we wanted to give you guys today was 60 minutes of college football and no politics for just a moment.
Yeah, shout out, Dog.
But before we go, this ad's brought to you by...
Shout out, Dog222. He says, no more political ads after tonight. Thank goodness.
Right.
You know what?
That's right. Absolutely. No more texts. I get texts from people. I'm like, I don't even know what this guy's running for. But
but hey, you kind of teased it there. They're doing the playoff. They still haven't revealed it or anything.
Yeah.
So we got to shout out MyBookie, sponsor of the show, MyBookie Online Sportsbook. MyBookie.ag is the website. Go over there. You can sign up for an account. It's totally free. But if you put in an initial deposit, put in that promo code, that SEC, THAT SEC, they will double, like a double cousin curse, your initial deposit, minimum $50, maximum $1,000. So you could have $2,000 in your account today to fade us as we mock these college football selections. You know what?
Absolutely. Well, I don't know. I don't know about fading Cousin Shane. Ever since I removed those tattoos, I still feel like I got a little of that good luck jelly roll in me. So I think I think moving forward, Mike, I'm going to be on a heater. People are going to get behind me, and it's going to be nice just talking about teams that are actually going to win.
Right. And what I'm also going to try to do, Shane, I may fail spectacularly.
Yeah.
But I do have a graphic ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to try to insert as they reveal the teams here any minute here. Again, they're going to drag this thing out as long as they possibly can. But as they do it, I'm going to fill it in. That way we have a graphic to go off of. So
nice.
I'll try my best to get that done.
I like how they show the board like these guys have not already made the decision. You know what I'm saying? They got their computers open, and it's just like, come on, guys.
How many of those are set to something that they shouldn't be? The websites.
Yeah, back in the day, you know, it was like Minesweep, you know, or something like that. You remember those? Kids don't understand. They don't know how good they got it. They got all these fancy games and AIs and all this stuff. You can't tell what's real or fake anymore, but back in the day, it was simple. It was solitaire. It was Minesweep. You didn't even know what Minesweep was, but you learned the damn game because you already you got tired of the other two that were on your computer. So, yeah, I don't know what they're looking at, but I'm ready to get some teams up here. Is there maybe one or two teams that you're really interested in about? Like, are they going to put two-loss Bama in? Is there one or two teams that you kind of really got your eyes on here? Kind of like bubble teams, if you will.
Right. Well, these aren't technically bubble teams, Shay, but I'm curious to see what they do with South Carolina and Vanderbilt.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can all agree both of those should be ranked.
Yeah.
And the other polls generally just follow the lead of the play. Like South Carolina's not ranked, right?
Right.
I know South Carolina's got a game this week, but even if they didn't, they'd be ranked next week in the AP poll because the playoff poll. You know what I mean? It's nonsensical. So I'll be having an eye on that. I really want to see what they do with LSU and A&M because A&M's coming off a loss, but hell, LSU's coming off A&M loss. So
yeah,
that's kind of interesting to me. Where is Tennessee? Where is Ole Miss? But a lot of these teams still, they have everything in front of them. So it'll work itself out regardless of where they're ranked today.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah, you don't want to overreact, but you don't want to be left out either. I feel like if you really are going to try to get one of those 12 spots, you got to get mentioned today, almost like have to get mentioned today. If you don't, then I don't think you got a shot. But you mentioned South Carolina. I mean, if they're sitting there at, 20, you win out 4 games. You got their schedule. I mean, they got Clemson, Mizzou. Those potentially could be top 25 teams here. Vanderbilt, we're going to get to that. You close out. Let's say you're sitting there at 20 and you beat 3 top 25 teams. I mean, that's a pretty strong argument why you should be a 3-loss team getting in.
And again, I have no idea. I'm sure they don't, but if I was on that committee, Shade, I'd have that LSU circled in red, be like, you know what, this game was damn stolen from these boys. They're only a 2-loss team, you know what? But I don't think they do it that way. But that's the way I'd do it.
Yeah. Well, and they played them close. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, you want 12 teams that will play each other close. You don't want blowouts, and that's why we get on to these shit teams they're going to throw in there here in a minute. And nothing against SMUs and these cats, but we all know at the end of the day when we get down to 4, their asses ain't going to be in it.
Yeah, well, you know who is in it? If we did our own, Shane?
Who's that?
Cousin JR. Come on,
JR.
What a guy. He just gifted another membership this time. Blake Bay, big Texas guy here. So welcome to the family, Blake. Do you think Texas will even be ranked, considering they have no ranked wins?
I thought Texas had all that money. Why is he getting that? No.
I'm just kidding, Blake. Just yanking your chain. Just yanking your chain. And Liquid, how about it? Liquid just gifted a membership.
Come on,
brother.
Liquid.
He just gifted one to Matthew. Welcome, Matthew, to the family.
Welcome, Matthew. Hope to see you. Hey, look at that M. I'm going to be, just a reminder, we're going to be heading up that way this weekend, Mike. Just got some basketball tickets lined up. So we got a game Friday. I'm going to hit the...
Is the diet off during this trip?
Mike, that's been off. I mean,
okay.
Who we kidding? You know what I'm saying? I got my Ozempic pen. I'll still dial it back a little bit, but I'm going to catch me a few of them damn rolls. Uh-oh.
They're revealing it. Oh, Mizzou 24, Shane. Army 25, but Mizzou 24. That's quite frankly, that stuns me that Mizzou's ranked. You're going to go watch a ranked team play this weekend.
Hell yeah. May not have a... We'll get to that one, but that's a spread that's flip-flopped today, and it's and I don't know if that means Brady's out, but that's kind of what I'm hearing, unofficially, but we got
Clemson 23.
Everybody thinks I'm looking at the ceiling. My TV is really high. Sorry.
I like the fact though that Mizzou at 6-2 that is ranked higher than Army, which is 8-0. It gives you an indication they don't give a damn about these shitty teams. Louisville 22 for what that's worth.
We do appreciate their service, though.
Oh, no doubt.
Number one,
these guys aren't serving; they're playing. I think them when they're done. I'm kidding.
No, I had a buddy. I had a couple of buddies went there. Yeah. I mean, we don't have too many athletes coming out of our high school, Mike, so if one hits Division I, we're going to talk about them till we're dead. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to the Claymans.
Washington State's 21.
Ooh.
There's 2 Pac-12 teams, Shane. I guess maybe as the projected Pac-12 champ, they get a spot. That's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's going to work its way out.
At Colorado 20, they just did that for Dion.
God. They're doing cartwheels in the street, Mike. They're upset.
Oh, Dion, how about it?
I'm a little delay here, so they're 6-2, 20. Oh my gosh, Mike, what are we doing here? What are we doing? But
so we
still sell tickets, man.
We still got the top 19 to go. We gotta have at least 6 SEC teams in here, right?
given this first pack here, Mike, that's very. I'm trying to be positive here, man. I think we're going to have a positive outlook. Mizzou still in the top 25, given what they did last week, and the quarterback situation. I think that's very good.
Kansas State 19, Pitt 18. We must be getting rid of the jug teams first here. What are we doing here? Where's the SEC at?
I love it. Well, Pitt was one of those they thought would be higher. You know what I'm saying? So 7-1 Pittsburgh. I have seen 12-13 on some of these projections. So sitting at 18, probably where they need to be.
17 Iowa State. Shane, if Iowa State and Pittsburgh were in the SEC,
shit,
they'd have Auburn's record. Okay, here we go. Ole Miss 16. God, that's too low for Ole Miss.
That's a little low. That's a little low for Ole Miss. Did they not watch the game Saturday?
Yeah, well, what, they win
all
by
them
40
computers
points?
And they didn't pull up one stat line or what happened Saturday. Jeez, that's not good. But they can definitely redeem themselves this week.
Yeah,
That's a big one. That's a big miss.
Yeah, 16. They got a ton of work to get in here.
Yeah, they got to win out. But that's what we said coming into this thing, Mike. Ole Miss can't lose any more football games. They beat Georgia, then all bets are off. They're in the 12,
Okay, 15 LSU. So obviously A&M higher. I think that's right because they did. So again, that's why AP and coaches polls are stupid. They got LSU over A&M. We just saw those teams play.
Yeah,
and it was not that close of a ball game. But so 15 LSU, 16 Ole Miss, 24 Mizzou. Those are our SEC teams in the top 25 here.
Do you think that, like, when you're doing this, do you have that in the back of your mind, like, hey, well, like maybe they go a little higher on Georgia, a little higher than they probably should on Bama because they know they're going to be playing. Do you think that goes through their mind at all in this selection, or are they just body of proof what we've got to this point, you think?
Yeah, they're not supposed to do that, but they may be doing it. Oh, and here we go, 14 A&M. So they got A&M as not in the playoff field on the bubble here.
I don't like that. I think they should be still. I still think. I mean,
they got freaking SMU over
golly.
A&M, LSU, and Ole Miss. What would be the point spread, Shade, if SMU face these teams? I mean, 14 points minimum?
Right now, SMU, Ole Miss, what's the spread in that game?
Ole Miss, 18. If it's in Oxford.
I mean, come on. It's just, this should be common sense. It shouldn't be, like, who are you trying to please? SMU fans? You know what I'm saying? What's that stand for? Southern Methodist? Is that it?
Yeah.
Bunch of Methodists in there? Huh? Ain't no Baptist in there that could put some sense into these boys?
We got Boise State. Now, again, they get in because they're projected conference champion at the 12 seed.
Yeah.
So they'll get eliminated immediately. Good for them.
Hey, Brian Harson's on here. Don't give him a hard time. He's already put out some good vibes this week. Every time they have a good game, he sends a picture like he's coaching the damn football team.
Ooh, Alabama, they put them in at number 11. So they'll be on the road, but in the playoff field. If I'm a Crimson Tide fan, I love to see that.
I like it. Let me ask you, out of the other two lost teams, is there another one that should be ahead of Bama, in your opinion?
Of the two lost teams, I would probably say A&M.
Yeah.
I got no problem there. Mm-hmm. And probably Ole Miss.
I mean, they lost to Vanderbilt. You know what I'm saying? Nothing against Vanderbilt, but you're saying Texas, Notre Dame, and South Carolina, which we think's top 25 teams. Clearly, they don't. But yeah, I guess maybe.
Yeah, what the hell? Where's South Carolina? So respect.
LSU, Ole Miss, and USC early. I mean, yeah, I would put LSU above them, honestly, right now, Mike. I'd put A&M. Yeah, I'd put Bama behind both of those.
Oh, God. They got Notre Dame number 10, Shane.
Here we go.
They lost to Northern Illinois.
What's the deal with Notre Dame? They're like competing with one other school, right, to get into the playoff. And there's some like weird. I read something on it. Are
they cannot be a top 4 team because they have no conference.
Yeah. But do they have like an easier path in besides their easiest schedule.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're playing Army and Navy. Those are their tough games.
Notre Dame. Jeez. First the Methodists, now the Catholics, Mike. You know what I'm saying?
They got freaking BYU shade as the number 4
the Mormon.
seed.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. Oh, yeah. But wait, they have to get it. They're leading, right? They're leading.
They're in the Big 12. So yeah, I guess that makes some sense. But again, Alabama, BYU on a neutral field. Give me Alabama by like 13, probably.
But is it BYU getting in because they lead their conference?
Yeah, that's what it is. They're in the Big 12. So it just goes to show you what a joke that league is.
That's crazy, isn't it?
They got
BYU.
Indiana, number 9. Ugh. What are we doing here, Shade? What are we doing?
Jeez. What was that? Indiana? Was it Gene Hackman who played that movie? He was I'd be throwing a chair
Hoosiers.
right now.
Hoosiers was the movie.
Yeah. That was a good one. It was a good movie. Then maybe they'll make another one after this one. Lee Corso with a cameo in it. Hey, they're doing good. I can't bash Indiana. If I were,
I don't think they have a ranked win.
I don't care, Mike. Aren't they undefeated? They're undefeated, right?
Yeah.
Give them a little. I think give them some props. I know they're not in the SEC, and we know they wouldn't, probably hold a candle in the SEC. But shit, you keep winning in that conference, then you belong there. So
they should get the 12 seed instead of Boise. Give it to Indiana.
Yeah, I get that. What we got now? You're a little ahead of me.
They're waiting. They're delaying here. Oh, Tennessee, number 7, Shane. Or excuse me, number 8. Number 8, Tennessee, hosting Indiana. All of a sudden, I like Indiana in there. Come on, Indiana.
I like it. I think Indiana's in the right spot. Yeah, Tennessee. Yeah, this is weird. So Tennessee's 7. So why does it say 8 beside it?
Well, because again, they're ranked higher than BYU.
Yeah. Oh, is this an AP?
But because BYU is a conference, see, that's how stupid this is, Shane. So BYU's number 9.
Yeah.
But they're the 4th highest ranked conference champ, so they automatically get to go to the second round and get to jump ahead the first round. So Tennessee ranked number 7, but they get the 8th seed, if that makes sense, and they get to host Indiana.
I wish it started tomorrow. I would sign up for that in a heartbeat, Mike. Oh my God, could you imagine?
Neyland Stadium welcoming Indiana.
Just first round playoffs being in Knoxville. I mean, come on. This is what they should have been doing the whole time.
And they got number 7, Penn State. So Penn State versus Notre Dame at Penn State.
Didn't they just fire Franklin?
Not yet.
Not
yet. They're calling for it, but right now he's in the playoff.
You want to fire a coach? He's right here. You drop 2 spots because you lose a game. That's how much credit they give you up there in Penn State.
Oh, number 5, Texas, Shane. So Texas would host Boise. In the first round.
Texas would host Bama. What are you watching?
Do I have it wrong?
Yeah, Texas and Alabama is what it says on the screen there. We'd have a
rematch of that
rematch. That would, I mean, we knew this was going to happen. I mean, honestly, when you have this many SEC teams, you're going to get rematches. So yeah, Texas and Texas. Bama.
Alabama at Texas, first round.
I love that.
Well, see, here's where I'm confused, Shane, because Texas is 5, but they're 6C.
Is that what they're?
This is stupid. This is so stupid how they do this.
I have no idea. I got lost on the numbers because I'm not listening to them as they're talking here.
Right.
So I'm sure somebody's probably screaming in the comment section. But yeah. So Alabama and Texas, Indiana at Tennessee, Notre Dame at Penn State, and then Boise State, whoever they're going to play.
And they got Miami in the 3 seed.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So they're in the second round already. Mm-hmm. They would get the winner of Texas, Alabama.
Oh man, let's say either one of that would be a fun game, wouldn't it? Either one of them. Mm-hmm. Which one would be your favorite? Would you rather see Texas, Miami? forget. I'm not saying you like this team more than the other, but just personnel against personnel. Which one would you like to see in that matchup?
Probably Texas. Texas versus Miami.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Because I think Texas would score probably about 50 on them.
Oh, just embarrass the shit out of them, Miami about got caught this weekend,
But I wouldn't mind seeing Cam Ward versus Jalen Milroe. That could be a fun matchup. Okay, they give Georgia the 2 seed, so they would get a bye.
Okay.
As the projected SEC champion.
So where would they be here? I'm looking for the.
So they would get the winner of Notre Dame, Penn State.
Oh, that's good. No. Oh, I like that. If you're a Tennessee homer, you are digging this.
So again, this is how dumb it is, Shane. So Ohio State's the number 2 team.
Yeah.
But they get the 5 seed.
Right, because BYU.
Right. So and then they got Oregon number 1. So no surprise on that one.
BYU loses, they're out of this whole thing.
Right.
Like they're going to they're not going to get the same love that Ohio State and, Penn State are receiving here.
I can turn that garbage off now.
Oregon.
Okay, so here we go, Shane. I'll be able to upload. So,
All right, so I can turn this off, right? We're done. Yep.
Yes, sir.
My girls did this, and it's a little much, Mike. It's a little intense in my face here.
So here's the field right here, Shane. In case anybody missed it here, you're watching, you were unable to watch. We'd have Georgia as the 2 seed. They'd get a first round bye, along with Oregon, Miami, and BYU. That's crazy. And then the other SEC teams in here: Tennessee hosting Indiana, Texas hosting Alabama. How about that showdown? And then the bubble teams here. We got a lot of teams that can make it in here. A&M at 14, LSU 15, Ole Miss 16, and Mizzou 24. So a lot of teams. I'm liking that, Shane. Again, we need some chaos here.
Yeah.
We probably need Notre Dame to lose. Maybe I don't know who they got this week. Air Force probably. If we can knock Notre Dame, get them a loss. Maybe Penn State, who seems wildly overrated. That would be the path to getting another SEC team in here. I'm liking this, Shane.
Is there any team not in the 25? I mean, we've already talked about South Carolina, but what do you think about Vanderbilt not being in the 25 here?
I think it's complete bullshit, and it's just because it's Vanderbilt,
Is there a shot? And I'm just saying hypothetically, Mike. Is there a shot a team? Because I would think out of all the 3 lost teams, South Carolina maybe has the best argument. Any chance they get in, even if they win out?
South Carolina?
Yeah.
Well, let's go back to this trusty man. I'm just disappointed they're not even in the top 25.
Vanderbilt's not in there. Mizzou will drop down even if they win this weekend because I could see the love they're receiving, and Clemson's barely hanging on. I mean, we're talking fringe 25 teams as it is. I mean, can that get you in the mix?
Here's what you need if you're South Carolina. You need Mizzou to win all their games except for your game, of course.
Yeah.
So that's a ranked win. You need Clemson, which is 23. They need to win all their games except the one you're facing them, of course. So perhaps you got 2 ranked wins there. You need A&M probably to keep winning because that's another ranked win for you. And you probably need Alabama and LSU to lose because those are – or Ole Miss. These are teams that beat you.
Yeah.
So you're not going to jump teams, in my opinion, that beat you, if that makes sense.
Right.
So you're going to need some chaos here. I think the chances are pretty slim, given that they're not in the top 25, but they should be.
Yeah.
Hell, I'd probably give me South Carolina over, Pitt, Kansas State, Colorado. This is garbage.
No, I totally with you here. So just clarification, first round will be right now in Knoxville, in Austin. But the second round, the bye, if you will, those will be hosted in bowl games, right?
Correct. Yeah, all the rest are in bowl sites.
Okay.
And I think here's the good news, Shane. Number 5 Ohio State, and number 9 Indiana, they're facing each other later.
Yeah, yeah.
So if Ohio State beats Indiana, we might be able to get rid of them.
Yeah.
I don't know who Penn State plays, but hopefully they drop a game here. So that's basically what you need. If you're A&M, LSU, Ole Miss, you need some of these teams to lose.
I'm a little discouraged, Mike. I mean, the more I think about this, so we got Georgia in this scenario. We got Georgia, Texas, Bama, Tennessee in the mix right now. Now we've got some on the bubble, but Georgia can win out. They're in. Texas can win out. They're in.
Yep.
Bama can win out. They're in. And Tennessee. So you're looking at 4 that can win out and get in. But if that happens, none of these other SEC teams are getting in. You see what I'm saying?
Right. But maybe not, though, Shane. Because, again, I just said Indiana and Ohio State are playing. Let's say Ohio State wins by 20. That may eliminate Indiana, right?
Yeah.
If Notre Dame drops somewhere, they could be eliminated. Penn State could get eliminated. Here's the problem, Shane, and this is what our friend, shout out Dave Bartu, go back and check it out if you missed it. Here's where it's going to be a real issue. Let's say Tennessee. I know this is very unlikely because they're playing in the regular season, but just go with me here.
Yeah.
Let's say Tennessee and Georgia meet in the SEC championship, and Georgia beats them.
Yeah.
They're probably kicking Tennessee from the 8th seed to out of the playoff. And how pissed is a fan base going to be if you're right there on the edge, you lose an SEC championship, and then they're like, let's get A&M in there instead. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you are being punished for making the SEC championship.
Right.
And that may very well maybe it happens, if it's Texas and Georgia. I mean, I think that's unlikely given that Texas is 6. I don't think they drop them that far. But that's just something to keep in mind here.
Well, and it's just new, Mike. And, you're talking about the SEC championship game and how pivotal that is. If you go back to, and I don't want to drug up history here, but if you go to the first SEC championship game, that was their biggest fear, was that it was going to keep an SEC team out of the playoff, or not a playoff, but the BCS championship. And if it weren't for an interception by was it Alabama? Yeah, Florida was beating them. If they didn't get that pick, then who knows what would have happened? We may not have had an SEC team in the BCS. So I'm kind of right there with you. I feel like if you're in a committee, you cannot. Maybe that was an agreement they made. In the Big 12. You're looking at. I would imagine there was a conversation said, "Hey, let's look at wins and losses, but let's not focus too much on a loss in an SEC championship game."
Right.
I would think, but
well, you would hope. But again, one more. Again, I'm not trying to be doom and gloom here, Shane. But if A&M wins out, they're in the SEC championship.
Yeah.
If LSU wins out, they're in the SEC championship. Their paths, because each of them only have one conference loss, right?
Yeah.
But unless there's chaos, we only got a month left. So unless all these teams are losing, let's say A&M or LSU, one, it's not going to be both, but let's say one of them wins out, they're probably not going to climb any higher than 8.
Yeah.
So if you make it, you make the SEC championship after winning out, you lose the SEC championship. I don't think you're going to make the playoff.
We just realized this is nowhere near settled. There's too many people I got to play each other. I mean, I'm going through scenarios. If Ole Miss wins out but loses in the SEC championship, it's like, damn. I mean, we could do this all night long, I guess.
Right. Well, you know what? Also, you could do all night long, Shane.
What's that?
Eat some of these rolls. How about
come
Anthony?
On now.
Cousin Anthony just gave us $200. Here's to help with the rolls on the way and rolls on the way back in a big Mo roll. So there you go, Shane. There's your hotel room paid for.
So I appreciate that, man. I'm gonna need. I was telling them. So we got. So just quick scenario on the trip. We're gonna go down Thursday after we do our pick show Thursday. We're hitting the road. I'm gonna get a hotel along the way. But when we wake, I'll be in the parking lot there at Lambert's. It's the one that's the south east one. I'll be there at 11 o'clock. So we're going to go into Lambert's. Hopefully we can see some folks there. We're going to catch some rolls. You can't miss me. I'll be the one with getting all the interceptions. I'll look like damn.
Are you going to wear a billboard this time like you did South Carolina?
I am the billboard, man. I am going to go. So after that, we're going to head up. There's a burger joint. I sent out a tweet earlier this week about places I need to go to. I had the name. It starts with a B, but we're going to be there at 5 o'clock. And we're going to eat some hamburgers there. Then we're going to go to the basketball game. They got a basketball game that night. And then next morning, we're going to be tailgating all day. And I've got a kind of a list, just a rough list. I'm going to try to hit all of them. I may be drunk by the time I get to the stadium. So
is it Buccini?
Yeah, Bucci's.
Bucci's. There we go. Bucci's.
Yeah, Bucci's. So I'll be there at 5 o'clock, like Mizzou time. Not Tennessee time.
Central time. That's called Central time.
Is that what that's called? Yeah. Yeah, we'll be there at 5 o'clock. So all this, I guess that other one would be 11 o'clock Central time, too, because it's past Nashville.
Right, right.
See, you didn't know this is an educational show. But that's the plan right now. Only thing I'm missing, Mike, and I'm not looking for a handout. But I am. I need 3 tickets to the game. So if you got any that you're thinking about getting rid of or something like that, just DM me or email us at Gmail, that SEC podcast at gmail.com, and look for 3 tickets. And if I'm sitting with you, just remember, I'm sitting with you. So the good news is the 2 people I'm bringing with are my girls, and they're a lot smaller. So they'll eat up some of the space I'm taking over.
Hey, shout out Cousin Russell, Shane. He just became a member, so welcome.
Come on,
Cousin Russell. And he gave us a $10, Shane. He says they're going to leave South Carolina out again. Keep disrespecting us. We feed off that shit, is what Russell says. I agree 100%. That is something that's fueling South Carolina. As B Creepy knows, Louisville gets ranked by beating trash Clemson, but South Carolina beats #1 team in the SEC. It doesn't. I mean, that's an excellent point. I don't get it. I think that's trash right there. Aggies, taco, and beer. Next week, A&M will take Bama's place when they lose to LSU. That could certainly happen too. But again, that's gonna bump LSU up too.
Yeah.
If you're beating a team that's currently in the field, so man, there's a lot to kind of break down with all this. You know what?
I'm telling you, Tennessee, Texas, Georgia. The other one, I mean, there's bound to lose. There's bound to be some losses in there. So there's still a lot of chaos left to go here in November. And a team like South Carolina, they not only they need to come out and win, but they need to just destroy these teams the next 4 weeks. And they do that, then you gotta ask the question: do they belong in?
Right. Well, you know who belongs in, Shane?
Who's that?
JP. Come on, JP.
Come on now.
He just gifted a membership to Roger Woods. Roger, welcome
to the family.
To the family. Appreciate you. But, oh, man, we went 32 minutes already, Shane. We haven't even done a preview, so we'll do it here in just a second. But you know who else deserves a shout-out?
Who's that?
Cornbread Hemp. Come on, cornbreadhemp.com/SEC. Get 30% off your entire order over at cornbreadhemp.com. Shane, this is America's first USDA organic THC gummy. I love the CBD sleep gummies, Shane. They're not for partying. They're for kicking back and going to sleep. But they got you all covered over there at cornbreadhemp.com. Don't forget that promo code SEC for 30% off your entire order. This is a business out of the great state of Kentucky. And, man, they'll ship it to you. We got to my house in about 2 days, and I was sleeping good with my cornbreadhemp.com. Promo code SEC for 30% off. And I may need it after seeing these damn playoff rankings. I think this committee may have been on some cornbread.
Yeah, they may have been. That's what was behind them laptop screens, Mike. Some hillbilly cornbread hemp, you know?
Yeah. All right, Shade. Ooh, where is my little preview? But, okay. We'll get into I don't know if I sent it or not. I don't know if I have my notes here, but either way, Shay, let's get into the
on that hemp, Mike. You see,
I know.
I was afraid this was going to happen.
I thought I downloaded this, but maybe not. Let's go here first, Shane. Georgia, mighty Georgia, at Ole Miss. Shane, what a showdown this game's going to be on Elimination Saturday. And wouldn't you know it, Shane, the footballs favor Ole Miss for whatever that's worth. So I don't know. What's your thoughts on this matchup as, again, Ole Miss is facing elimination. Georgia, not quite elimination, but who knows? I mean, again, they're number 2 seed, so they're still alive with a loss. But that's not the way Kirby and company operate, as Lane Kiffin will tell you here in just a second, Shane. They're about 50-0 against all of college football minus Alabama. But Ole Miss, I mean, hell, they're playing as best as they have all season. What's your thoughts on this matchup?
You know, I feel like this is the one Lane wants. You know,
Yeah.
Forget the other teams. Forget Alabama. I know Alabama was that mountain he was climbing, but I think it's Georgia now. I feel like Lane Kiffin has got his eyes set on beating this football team, because last year when he was down there, you remember the conversation they had after this game about if you want to compete with teams like this, we've got to look like this. And that's what they did. They hit the portal. The boosters put the money in. That's why we got the last dance. And this is a football team that hasn't put it all together until last week. I think last week was a perfect game. Maybe not perfect, but it was the most complete football game I've seen in a long time from this ball squad. And then that's what you can say about Georgia. Another team that when they have that perfect game, they're unstoppable. So it's almost like in this matchup, Mike, you're almost looking for who's going to make the most mistakes. And whoever that team is, I feel like they're going to be losing Saturday.
Right. So based on the way old Carson has been playing, though, Shane. Well, I mean, that's not fair because, again, it just depends on who you ask. But most people that I listen to that study Georgia, they say, well, Carson Beck's been playing pretty good.
Yeah.
It's just like a couple of throws here or there. But he does lead the SEC. I think he's like number 1 in the country, Shane, in interceptions thrown. So that'll be paramount to Ole Miss pulling off an upset. I don't think Ole Miss can win this game if Carson Beck plays mistake-free football. Let's kick it over to Kirby, who again, this is pretty interesting, Shane. He's asked about Carson Beck making all these mistakes.
Just decision-making. I mean, I think that's the bottom line. I think I was more pleased after watching the tape than anything because, I mean, I think out of 73 snaps, he had 68 winning decisions, really good decisions. I mean, 68 for 73, pretty good in any sport I'm in that you're in. I think the concern is the mistakes can't be catastrophic. You know, like you got to make good decisions, and you know the 2 plays that he ends up turning the ball over on, they weren't great looks defensively against that call. Like we were expecting something else. So when that happens, you got to play for the next down, right? It's the most common thing in football. You got to be willing to concede a down and move on, especially when it's first down. And both those were, and 2 of those were those situations. But I still think that 68 out of 73 decision-making processes, he did the right thing and made some really, really elite plays and throws within the game. So it's cutting down on the catastrophic things.
All right, Shane, do you buy that? I mean, aside from all these picks, he's not making any mistakes out there.
I mean, this is what you say, you know. This is what you tell your boys when they, you know, when you want them to kind of keep their. I mean, because this is a psychological game just as much as it is a physical game, and Carson Beck, you know, I mean, even last week, 3 picks, 2 of them were his fault. I felt like one of them really wasn't, but you know, it's those three bad throws, Mike. Those 3 mistakes. You know, you didn't lose the game against Florida. You lose that game against Ole Miss. So I feel like you just got to be – you kind of tread on the ice in this. It's almost like a kicker. You don't want to talk to him about missing field goals, you know, just like act like he, you know, everything's fine. But I feel like there's a little bit of that going on as well.
Anything to be said for the fact that Ole Miss is a must-win? And again, you hear Kirby, well, they'll have them ready. People doubting Georgia. Ain't nobody doubting Georgia. I mean, let's call it what it is. I mean, they're number 2 in the playoff here.
Yeah.
And they're favored in Oxford. Yeah, it's not by a lot, but I don't know, Shane. I mean, it's one team must win. And if Ole Miss can beat the number 2 team in the country, arguably the number 1 team, then you have to feel good that they can not only make the playoff, that they could potentially win the whole damn thing. Because if they're beating Georgia, they could beat anybody. I think that is, give me the psychological edge to Ole Miss in this one. What are your thoughts on that?
I feel like Ole Miss loses more in this game. You said nobody doubts Georgia. I feel like people doubt Georgia. Maybe they don't look at them like a juggernaut they were a few years ago, something like that. But you feel like there's some flaws in their game. There's, maybe a little. It's like I'm trying to think of that movie. What was it? Had the dragon, but it's like he had that one spot you could kill him in. I don't know what the movie is. You know what I'm saying? Is it like The Hobbit or something? And I feel like that's what Georgia is. It's like we always thought Georgia was untouchable, but then the Bama game happens, and then, say what you want about Mississippi State game, but there were some flaws in there, and you got to see some of the mistakes last week, and it's like, okay, we know we could kill this dragon, and I feel like that is more damning for them in this matchup than maybe years past, because you asked, does Ole Miss have anything to lose? Ole Miss knows they have nothing to lose, but they also know that they're playing a team they could beat, and I feel like that's even stronger than, just the backs against the wall mentality.
They're letting you know it was the Hobbit, Shane, with the dragon that had a hole in his scales there.
Thank you. What a great movie, huh?
But I'm just trying to think, Shane, again, remember last year, I got it written down here, the score was 52-17. Kiffin came out and said, well, we just don't look like them. We got to start. They kind of do this year. Now, where they don't, where there's still, I think there's a mismatch in both sides for this one, Shane. The defensive fronts going up against each offensive line, if that makes sense. I think Georgia's front seven, Ole Miss offensive line, that's probably the biggest mismatch in the game. That heavily favors Georgia. Mm-hmm. But also, I think people are sleeping on just how good Ole Miss front seven is. And the fact that Georgia has been very inconsistent running the football. Again, let me throw up the little stats here. But they are 32 in the country in rush offense efficiency. Mm-hmm. And hell, they're even worse in pass. So, I think that's a combination of factors. But I'm not used to seeing Georgia struggle to run the football. And that's a combination of the running backs being hurt. Trevor Etienne is hurt coming into this game. They're saying it's a rib injury, and it's about his pain tolerance, whether he can go or not. They're down some other guys. So if you're asking me, can Carson – I don't think it's quite this simple, Shane, but it may be, can Carson Beck win it or can Jackson Dart win it?
Yeah.
And who knows? Again, Ole Miss leads the country, Shane, in sacks.
Yeah.
So they'll get after you. But again, I think Georgia's defensive front against Ole Miss offensive line is a huge mismatch. So and Ole Miss, hell, they can't run. And I know you love J.J. Pegues. I'm not hating on a guy, but the fact they got him out there is because they don't have a running back that they trust in these short yardage situations. That shit ain't going to work on Georgia because they got guys twice the size of old J.J. coming at you. You know what I mean? Like they ain't going to be as scared of old J.J. But I don't know. This is an interesting matchup, Shane. This is not Georgia of old. This ain't Ole Miss old. I really think Ole Miss can win this game. I'm not sitting here picking them, but I'm saying they can win it.
Yeah,
and that's with we don't even know Trey Harris if he comes back. If he comes back and he's ready to go, Caden Prieskorn, he's not been playing either. If he comes back, he's ready to go. I might lean Ole Miss. Thoughts on that?
That's your opinion, Mike. We all have one. I can't argue it. I told you last week. I was in. I'm all in. And I put a video up on TikTok, and the guy says, "I just love how you overreact to every single game." You know, it's like, and he's right. Sometimes, I mean, I'm a fan, and I went all fanboy, but I was hook, line, and sinker. This is the team, Mike. This is the one that we've been talking about. You remember when we were in the off season, we talked about the Georgias, we talked about the LSUs, we talked about these teams, Texas, but the one that got brought up the most was Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Nobody was doing that 5 years ago. Nobody was doing that 10 years ago. They were talking about this team because this is a ball squad that was looked at potentially being a favorite in this conference. And we've gotten away from it. After that Kentucky game, we completely jumped ship, and now we're starting to get back in. We're starting to buy back into the hype. And yeah, I'm right there with you. This is a team. Ole Miss can beat Georgia, but they're going to have to duplicate what they did last week, not what they did the 4 weeks before that. They got to have not a good game. They have to have a perfect game. They do that, Ole Miss wins. If they don't, Georgia moves on.
Well, you know who I'm buying in on, Shane?
Who's that?
Dustin Miz. Welcome, Dustin, to the family. He just became a member, but yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be a hell of a game. I think game day picked the wrong one.
What time is this game?
2:30. 2:30 Mizzou time. 3:30 Tennessee time.
Just got to figure out
Tennessee.
tailgate situation where I need to be to watch some of this game here.
Now, how about this? Again, I could be wrong, Shane. This could be the game of the night here, or the game of the day, excuse me. The night game here in Tiger Stadium, Alabama, who's in the playoff field at LSU, who currently isn't. So, yeah, maybe, I don't know if that provides any extra motivation, but let's see, unless the lines have changed here. But I got Alabama as a 3-point favorite here in this matchup. But how about some stats for you here, Shane? I know you love stats. Brian Kelly, 13-0 in night games at Tiger Stadium. He's never, well, excuse me, not never, but it's been since 2016, Shane, since Brian Kelly has lost back-to-back regular season games. He's a hell of a coach. He's also 21-3 coming off a bye. But guess what? Caleb DeBoer 7-0. He's never lost coming off a bye. Beat Georgia this year. That was that coming off a bye. And then one last one for you, Shane. I don't want to make your head spin. DeBoer in one-score games. 28-8. So you know this is going to be a nail biter probably, but he's an elite coach, but he's 2-2 at Alabama so maybe all the haters out there saying he's just built his reputation on these trash schools. Maybe they're right. Not saying that they are, but this will be a defining game, I think. I mean, I know we're in year one, Shane, but Caleb DeBoer, I think he's got a lot on the line. I think LSU's got a lot on the line too, Shane, because last I checked, all these LSU coaches they all win national championship.
Yeah.
What'd they say in the preseason? 10 wins ain't even good enough here. We got to win. You know, if they don't win this game, they ain't even getting a 10.
Right, Mike. And this game, for me, Mike, just when you see LSU and Bama, forget the current coaching situation. It was just, this game always meant something. You know, typically, it typically decided who was going to the SEC championships, who's not. It decided who's going to a BCS championship game or a playoff game and who's not. There's who's winning a Heisman and who's not. There's so many things that always gets kind of filtered into, I think, some of the biggest matchups. You know, everybody talk about Trump tonight, but you remember there was a game that Trump went to before he went to any of these others, and it was an Alabama LSU game because it was so damn big. So it's kind of crazy we're talking about this one as the second game, but you better believe this thing is going to come down to the wire, and it may be one of those last possession things. But here's two coaches that have been doubted on this year. You know, you mentioned all the beautiful stats from DeBoer and all the accolades that Coach Kelly has. It's like, but there's moments in this season that we've talked about these coaches are not the right fit for this current squad. So I feel like that conversation gets ramped up, especially whoever loses this game, because that team is no longer in the college football playoffs.
And one thing to note, Shane, that came to light I believe this was yesterday when Kelly had his press conference. Offensive guard Garrett Dillinger.
Yeah.
He's one of their best players. He's their best interior lineman. You know, they got 2 outstanding tackles. Dillinger, he is out. He had a tightrope surgery, so he's not going to play, obviously. And he has played 41 games with 30 starts. And without him, they're relying on a true freshman. And that's tough. That's a big blow.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you, Shane, that they got tore up, the defense did. Again,
Yeah.
let's throw up their schedule here. I was blown away by how impressive LSU's defense was looking. I mean, again, Ole Miss shut them out in the second half and overtime. That's why they won that damn game. Defense stepped up there. Arkansas game, shut them out. And remember, it was Weeks made the big play. It kind of swung that game.
Yeah.
It was, I believe, it was a 16-10 game when he made his. Was it a strip sack or an interception? I think it was an interception. He tipped it to himself and caught it. I mean, the defense stepped up, and then even A&M, they were dominating that game.
Yeah.
Now, the insert Marcel Reed, and they weren't dominating anymore. But point being, Shane, I'm not selling the defense down the river here. They've had 2 weeks to prepare, and again, you never want to say, well, you know, it's a good thing they lost. You know, that's not that. But the fashion that they lost, they got dominated by a quarterback that can run. In any way, shape, or form, could that be good for them as they prepare for Jalen Milroe? Because, you know, I have a strong feeling, I don't know if you feel this way too, but if Alabama wins this game, it's going to be because Jalen Milroe's running wild on them. And they've had 2 weeks to be embarrassed about a quarterback running wild on them. So I think they're going to be pretty keyed up for this one.
Yeah, I would think as far as mobility with quarterbacks, that was the best case scenario. Well, obviously, if you would have won the game, LSU would have won the game. I think that would have, like, if they could have just somehow survived that massacre. But given the fact you did that, you've got 2 weeks to film study this thing, where you messed up, where's your responsibilities. I think that really helps because you can't mimic a Jalen Milroe in practice unless you got another Marcel Reed, you know? So I feel like that the best thing that could have happened to LSU was just that. It's good. Now, we've seen the thing is, Mike, we've seen Jalen get took out of a football game. You know, which kind of surprises me. I mean, he doesn't look hurt. He still looks freaking athletic and explosive. I mean, you know, when we watched that first couple of games this season, I thought he looked even faster. And it kind of blows my mind that we're not getting those explosive plays anymore. I know defenses are, you know, they've played some tough defenses if you look at their schedule, but still, it feels like they're not giving him an opportunity to do what he's really great at, you know?
Right, and I'm glad you said that, Shane, because I was going to ask you, who's got more on the line here, Jalen Milroe or Garrett Nussmeier, who, you know, I was praising Nuss as the best quarterback in the SEC so far this season. Then he comes out and throws 3 picks and got a little dismantled on the road. You know, this will be Tiger Stadium, different story. Mm-hmm. But also Jalen Milroe, man, he steps up in these big-time games. I think an SEC championship last year at A&M. You know, he's at Auburn. I mean, he makes plays in critical situations. He's not necessarily been doing it this year. But which quarterback do you think's got more on the line in terms of saving his season and helping his stock as we march through November here? Is it Milroe or is it Nuss?
Well, Milroe's the one that was chasing the Heisman, and Nuss is the one that kind of forced his way on the ballot, if you will. And
right.
I did you see what I did there?
Yeah, that was good.
You like that one? Like how I worked that one in? But Mike, I feel like that. I don't know if you could really answer that question. The more I think about it, man, great question. I feel like. I don't know, Mike. I feel like Nussmeier still has more to prove. Jalen's already been he's already been on the stage, you know, trying to win a Heisman Trophy, and we've kind of pinned that, you know. But Nuss has always lived in the shadow of other quarterbacks, and it felt like he was really starting to make a name for himself, you know, coming in. And I felt like he had it, Mike. I still don't think the game that was lost at Texas A&M was his fault. I felt like the coaching staff didn't put him in a good spot. So, so to answer your question, I feel like Nuss has more to prove in this one.
And then last thing I got on this one, Shane, which defense do you trust more in a big game spot like this? LSU, who's been, again, I kind of already hit on all that,
Yeah.
or Alabama, who, they've not been awful, but they've not been the Alabama standard either. But they just got to shut out, I guess, Missouri. I don't know if you count that given the quarterback situation, but which defense you trust more in this big matchup?
Right now, LSU. I felt like for 3 quarters, and I don't want to just talk about one game. Like you were saying, this is weekly event. LSU since UCLA has really been kind of taking off and getting better every single week. So I think the one thing that maybe we're not acknowledging right now is that Alabama really has kind of sucked on these road games. You look at Vanderbilt, you look at Tennessee, was that Jalen? Was that the coaching? Was that the defense? There's a lot of things, a lot of factors in that. But the fact that you're in Death Valley, I would favor the defense of LSU.
Right. Well, Shane, you know who else I favor?
Who's that?
Shop Mando. Come on, shopmando.com. Promo code SEC. Get you $5 off your entire order. And that's 40% off the starter pack, Shane, over at shopmando.com. Promo code SEC. What is this? What is this Mando you're talking about, Mike? You want to be fresh going into your game day weekend, Shane? Hit up a Mando starter pack. It's perfect. It's got solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, and 2 free products of your choice over at Shop Mando. Free shipping too, Shane, with that promo code SEC. $5 off. That's 40% off your total order over at shopmando.com.
Nice.
How about this one, though, Shane? All of a sudden, a month ago, hell, 2 weeks ago, this may not have been a top matchup. You know what?
Yeah.
But it is today. South Carolina at Vanderbilt. How about it? We got one of these teams is ranked. Well, neither one of them in their playoff bowl, which is they both should be. But Shane, I'm gonna play this. I can't believe this clip. After South Carolina just whooped A&M's ass,
Yeah.
you can tell Beamer's feeling it, and he's going to use this underdog to his advantage.
For a team that's playing with a very similar level of confidence that you guys are.
Yeah, this is a really good football team. This is a nationally ranked team that we have to go into their new and improved stadium. And when you guys, the media, did your national rankings this week, y'all looked at it and said Vanderbilt's one of the 25 best teams in America and South Carolina's not. So that's what the rankings say right now. So we know we have a big challenge as well going in there. And it's always about us. We don't spend a ton of time talking about the other.
Shane, how many times is it going to be plastered all over that facility this week? Ranked, unranked, even though, what's the point spread here? South Carolina is favored by 3.5. But don't tell Bieber that. They're going to look at it like, one of these teams ranked, one of them isn't.
Yeah.
And as soon as I saw that, I am rooting hard for Vanderbilt and Diego Pavia and company. I want them to win every damn game because I think it'll be a great story. But when I hear that, I don't want to give away my pick or anything, but I'm feeling pretty good about South Carolina after just that clip alone.
Mike, these guys are in a different realm right now. But one thing I love about both of these teams, Mike, is just these teams. You know what I'm saying? Like Pavia's story you talked about, you could see the love, especially after that Auburn game. They were really doing it for each other. And then, you go to the South Carolina's locker room and Shane Beamer bust out a tune singing to his wife. It's like just two damn happy families that just always get picked last. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
you know, I was there. I was that fat kid. Nobody wanted on their dodgeball team. I understand the mentality of being the last one selected, but you go out there and you prove it. Moving forward, these teams have nothing to lose. They've already, in my mind, they have already succeeded expectations. But what's awesome about these damn football teams, Mike, is they're nowhere near the ceiling that they want. You know, and so this game is going to come to a head, and there's two teams right now that are fighting and clawing to be like the breakout SEC team this season, and I think it's going to be identified after this game.
Right. If I could be mistaken here, Shane. I got the updated standings here.
Yeah.
I mean, Vanderbilt's got 2 losses in this is just conference. South Carolina's got 3. I'm not sure if South Carolina technically. I mean, I think if chaos ensues, they can make the SEC championship.
Right.
I'm pretty damn sure Vanderbilt could if they keep winning out, because look who they got coming up, Shane. They got LSU, they got Tennessee, and they obviously got South Carolina. So they can knock off 2 of the teams in front of them. They would just need, and Texas A&M, Texas are playing each other, so they're gonna knock each other off. I mean, there is a realistic shot if now I get it, very unlikely, but if Vanderbilt wins out, who in the hell cares where you're ranked in the play? They probably still won't have you ranked in the playoff poll. But here's a great thing, Shane. You make it to the SEC championship, you win the damn game in Atlanta.
Yeah.
They have to put you in there. So I wouldn't even eliminate Vanderbilt from playoff consideration now that I think about it. But real quick,
You know what they call that, Mike? BY. Who the hell is this? You know.
Well, any idea? I'm just wondering. I have this. I'm going to throw it up here as soon as you answer. Do you have any idea the last time, or how many in a row? Maybe that's a better way to say it, because you know these teams play annually.
Yeah.
How many in a row South Carolina has won in this series?
No, I have no idea.
15.
Wow, is that the longest streak? I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah,
That's a long streak, man.
in this in this series, yeah.
Yeah.
But 29-4 all time. So, you know, I would, if I'm Clark Lee, I'm plastering that all over the damn locker room. You know,
Yeah.
so I don't even know if they were alive last time we beat. You know what I mean? Like let's do something like that. You guys were in elementary school last time we beat these teams. So I think there's going to be motivation on both of them, really.
It's still so hard to play the underdog role against Vanderbilt, you know? Like in November. I don't know if I could use that for ammunition, but I guess Beamer is this week. And shit, Vanderbilt, like you said, maybe they have aspirations. They want to ruin seasons. They would love to make an SEC championship. They're an outlier, Mike, because there is a scenario. It's a long shot, but they could get in, and that's like that's your golden ticket, man. You're going to Willy Wonka if you find that chocolate bar, you know?
Yeah, and a great point here by Tev. Maybe South Carolina, are they still rested on their laurels? You know, they just won
Yeah.
a big game, rushed in the field, and we have seen hell that was A&M 2 weeks ago. You come off at. It's tough. It's tough to get. Sometimes it's tough to get up.
Especially against a Vanderbilt team, because everybody just has that preconceived notion they're going to beat them. We're
Right.
bigger, we're better, we've got more, better athletes than you. And next thing you know, you're in a damn dogfight. It's fourth quarter, and Pavia's got the football, you know?
Right, and also in that press conference, I didn't have the clip, but Beamer also says, "Oh yeah, I know we have a lot of fans that go to this. They love Nashville. They're going to be all over that stadium." He's feeling confident, but again, if I'm Clark Lee, I'm playing that clip.
Oh, man, I love it. I love it. Every game's got a little something, don't it? A little salt and pepper to it.
Yep, including this one, Shane, of course. Oklahoma at Mizzou, Shane. Mizzou opened as a favorite, but as you alluded to earlier, it has flipped in the direction of them Sooners, Shane. Oklahoma favored by 2.5 as of this recording. Drink was asked about Brady Cook today, and he said, your ass going to have to wait till the injury report comes out on Wednesday. So not giving away any of the secrets. Obviously, that looms large in this matchup. To put it kindly, Drew Pine does not look up to the challenge of leading an SEC team, but 2 weeks to prepare.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit different story. He has won a bunch of games, I think, for Arizona State or something like that. But I don't know. What's your thoughts on this one, Shane? If I think the only way to really ask it is, if Brady Cook plays, if he doesn't play, how much does that change things for you?
Well, I'm kind of leaning no, and I'm just because I've heard a few things. I mean, and when you see Vegas switch a spread like that, usually they've heard a few things. You know what I'm saying?
Vegas always knows.
I know. So, but again, I don't know if that's a bad thing, man. I mean, because the last few weeks that Brady's been trying, you could tell he's clearly hurt. You know what I'm saying? And I know Drew came in. He didn't look great against Bama, but I mean, don't you think the pressure's off a little bit? You're not down there in Tuscaloosa against a top 25 team. You're facing against Oklahoma, who also has some battle scars themselves. This is a renewed rivalry. This is two fan bases that absolutely hate each other. I cannot wait to be a part of it, Mike. I mean, I get excited. I'm looking at all these places, trying to figure out where we're going to go, what we're going to, there's so many people that place is going to be packed. It's going to be rocking. And I feel like there's two squads in this game. This is what we talked about in the offseason. What's your favorite football game? When you come into one and this team thinks they're going to beat this team and this team knows they're going to beat this team. It's like when you come in with that attitude, there's either going to be one pissed off fan base or one totally excited fan base. And I feel like both of them really need something positive right now in their lives.
Who would a loss be worse for, though, given
Mizzou?
That Oklahoma, they don't even view Missouri as a rival. And then Mizzou, this is supposed to be their year. You think it's Mizzou it's worse to look for?
Mizzou is the worst one right now. I mean, they're on life support as it is. Oklahoma already crashed cart, man. They've notified the family. They're out. It's like we're just chalking it up. We're going to move on to the next season. I still feel like there's fans that obviously love it. We're not seeing as many of them in the comment section anymore, but I feel like a loss for Mizzou would be just the nail in the coffin for those guys. So they don't want to see that nail. They want to hold on to the, this is still a good year. You could finish 10-2, Mike. And, I would have signed up for that 7 years ago. You asked a Mizzou fan, hey, you're going to go back-to-back 10-win seasons, 11-win seasons. They would go, abso-freaking-lutely, I'll sign up tomorrow, But you forget that because you live in the moment. You live in the present. So, yeah, a loss for Mizzou would be detrimental for that fan base.
Well, you say 10-2, but hell, they could also go 7-5. You know what I mean?
Oh, again, I think the wheels come off. If Oklahoma, they lose this one, then South there, because then what are you rushing Brady back for? To South, what are you fighting for anymore? I'm not saying that there's no fight. I probably shouldn't have said that, but South Carolina, I don't think that's a easy win. That's going to be a tough
South Carolina too.
Mississippi State's looking at you like that's your one shot to get an SEC win, and
right.
Arkansas absolutely hates you. So, yeah, there is you're in a fork in the road, Mike. That's exactly where Mizzou's at. They are in a damn fork in the road, and it shouldn't come down to Brady Cook. It shouldn't come down to one person. This is a team event. You know what I'm saying? And they've got some dudes on offense and defense that could step up and make Pine's life a little bit easier.
And Oklahoma was in a fork, Shane, and they fired their offensive coordinator. They got signs of life against Ole Miss. They whooped the hell out of Maine, which they absolutely should and had to. But if big if here, if they win on the road at Missouri, they'll be on a 2-game winning streak for the first time since early September.
Yeah.
And who knows about Alabama? I think that would be a hell of an atmosphere if they can beat Missouri and come back to face Alabama. I mean, I don't want to say, because there's been so many losses, you're not going to sell this as like a hugely successful season. But if you could beat Missouri and you beat Alabama,
yeah,
I think we've turned the ship around.
But don't you make this the Super Bowl? You know what I'm saying, for Oklahoma? Like,
oh yeah,
if I'm if I'm Venables and I'm looking at these last 3 games, I'm like, this is our shot to get to a bowl game right here. Mm-hmm. We can't turn around. We can't lose to Mizzou and say, you know what, we'll beat Bama, or we'll go to Death Valley. We'll get us a win there. That whole cliche. It's one game at a time. I think this is the most important game of Venables' life right here, Mike. This is the turning point for them as well.
Yeah, and this weekend, Shane, may be the most important game in Billy Napier's life. How about it? Billy Napier at Florida, at Texas. Still don't know about DJ Lagway. They said it's not as bad as feared, so that leads you to believe he could come back. I don't know about this week. I think they desperately need him. They're starting to, former, what'd they say, Yale walk-on type guy over here at quarterback. So, I mean, I get it. Florida's they're fighting hard. They're showing signs of life. But if DJ Lagway doesn't play, I don't have any confidence in them to win this football game. Do you?
No. If DJ's out there, I don't like any of them. I don't care where those footballs are at, Mike. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, for me though, this game is important for Texas, and more importantly, it's good for optics, because if you lose A&M, if you lose an SEC championship, there's scenarios that we talked about. Now, at the playoffs out here, there's scenarios that if you play Florida tight or barely beat them, or same thing with Arkansas, then the optics look like Texas shouldn't belong in the playoffs. So I feel like, brother, this is not just a must win for them, but be a must blowout. Because you're looking at Florida's roster, especially if they're down to their third quarterback, there's no reason this should be a close football game.
But I don't think Florida can compete without Lagway. But I didn't think they could compete against Georgia without him. And this was a tied ball game, Shane, with 4 minutes left in the game. I thought Kentucky had beat them. They destroyed Kentucky's ass.
Yeah.
And I thought they would get demolished against Tennessee, and that they should have won that one. So I could just be way, way off on the Florida Gators and just how they're fighting and playing. And again, if the way they're playing, they really like Billy Napier, the team does.
Yeah.
And this is a chance to guarantee he's back and get him a signature win by beating Texas. So I think there's a lot of motivation here for Florida and some potential look-ahead factor for Texas. But am I crazy by thinking that?
Nope. Florida needs one of the first 3. These next 3 games, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss. For Billy to come back, in my opinion, you got to win one of those, and then obviously Florida State there at the end. Make a bowl, maybe win the bowl game, get those extra practices. I feel like there's a little bit of saving grace. Now, where do you get that extra win? Could it be this week, Texas overlooking you? Maybe. Is it with LSU? Is it, there's some winnable games, but I still think it's, as much as I love Yale kids, you know what I'm saying? It's like I have no confidence at them at quarterback. You know what I'm saying?
Could Florida win this game if they had Arch Manning?
Arch Manning?
If they could just borrow him for some reason?
Yeah. I mean, isn't that crazy? They had a quarterback carousel, not because one was hurt, but because they had 2 of them. And then I'm telling you, man, they are cursed. They are absolutely cursed. They threw that damn shoe against LSU, and now it's just been downhill for them.
Well, hopefully this last one, Shane, hopefully there's no curse here. Mississippi State at Tennessee. Shane, this is the largest point spread in the SEC this weekend. 24 points. The Vols are favored. And yep. I made this argument with Steven. I want to curious to know your thoughts, Shane. Mm-hmm. If Tennessee... Hell, they've not gone over 30 points per game.
Yeah. In
a single SEC matchup here. And Steven said that's like 10 out of in the last 2 seasons. So what are they? They played 5 and 8. They played 13 SEC games.
Yeah.
10 of them they've not hit 30 points. So this is a theme here. But on the flip side, Shane, again, Mississippi State, particularly on defense, is just awful. If you can't get to 30 points on this Mississippi State team, we got a real problem, I think. I think this is, if you can't do it here, you ain't going to do it.
Mississippi State, I'll tell you, Mike, here's my deal. Was I worried about Tennessee losing to Arkansas? No. And then we lost. Was I worried about Tennessee losing to Florida? No. And we should have lost. Was I worried about Tennessee and Kentucky? Yes, because we had those 2 losses, or those close. It's like now it's that battered Vol syndrome kind of snuck back in. And if you're a Tennessee fan and you watch 0 Mississippi State football games, you're like, hey, I'm looking at the record. There's no reason this should be a ball game. But if you watched Mississippi State football, you're going to watch a team that has the ability to put points on the board. Now, they've not played a defense as good as Tennessee, I don't think, or maybe damn close to it, maybe 1 or 2. But this is a team right now that worries me, and it shouldn't. Tennessee just was in the college football playoff. We're talking about Mississippi State not getting an SEC win. But by God, that battered Vol syndrome is a real thing, and it's sitting in this room with me right now, and I am worried about this football game.
Right, and the one thing State can do, Shane, that's why I think this is so key. State can score on you.
Yeah.
Michael Van Buren, he's excellent quarterback. They're just scored 45. 25 the week before, 24 against A&M, 31 on Georgia. Yeah, I think they can get to 30. That's where I'm saying that, again, upset. I don't know upset. Again, the point spread's 24, but they can make things interesting. If Tennessee can't score in the first half again, and Mississippi State, they run basically the same offense as old Tennessee. So, but they're actually hitting the plays, and they've got the run game going now too on top of it. So, I don't know. This is an interesting one. This has got to be a win for Tennessee, and hell, I think. Let's go back to these playoffs real quick, Shane. Here's a spot you don't want to be here as a coach, but unfortunately you're there.
Yeah.
They say win and you're in.
Yeah.
When you're 24-point favorite, if you win by like 7, I think that can knock you out of the playoff.
Yeah.
You need style points. And that's not great going into a conference game that, I don't know, you play like that, you could lose it. But, there's just a lot of factors going into this one.
Yeah. But people are talking about it. It's not something you can avoid anymore. We know Tennessee's got a strangle on defense. I'm telling you again, very good defense.
Yeah.
But the offense is just a miss. It's just drops, it's penalties, it's stupid things. But I feel like it's close. And I'm not going to keep saying that, but Mike, it feels like it's close. This may be the week that Tennessee actually steps out of that shell, that mold, you know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden looks like a playoff team. Then all of a sudden looks like a threat to the Georgia Bulldogs the following week. There is that real shot there because I feel like they're getting closer. And if you got receivers out there that can't catch the damn ball, well, there's a whole slew of them behind them fighting to get in there and have that opportunity. So I don't be surprised if you don't see a little more rotation in that wide receiver room.
Because as Finn says, it's called Georgia State Syndrome is what Cousin Shane has.
Yeah, buddy, there's a lot of games, man. When you're 42 years old watching the damn Tennessee Vols, there's a lot of games that they get you. We just talked about BYU. That's one. You know what I'm saying? I've relived that one. Notre Dame. I think about stupid field goal with them. There is a lot of teams that have hurt us along the way. So,
well, hey, let's end on a positive.
Yes.
Dylan Sampson over under 3 rushing touchdowns because he's a machine. And Mississippi State, that's probably the worst part of their defense, defending the run. Over under 3 touchdowns for Dylan Sampson. Well, 3 is let's say over under 2.5.
I say 2. I got under.
Ooh.
Yeah, 2 scores.
Why do you hate the Vols?
Because the receivers are going to wake up. Or them tight ends or somebody. Somebody's going to help Nico out this weekend.
Give me the over. I think he gets at least 3, if not 4.
Hey, I'm all for it, man. I'll sign up for that in a heartbeat, Mike.
Okay. Well, hey, buddy, anything else before we hop off the line?
No. Again, I'll put out that itinerary probably tomorrow after everything tonight. It's going to be a wild one. So thoughts and prayers to everybody out there in the mix of that. But yeah, we'll be back on tomorrow. We got mailbag questions. So Mike's going to send out a tweet, fire it off. Cousins, you know what to do on YouTube. We'll send that out, answer those questions. You got a double header tomorrow. Steven's going to come out first with all the brains of the operation, and then Big Dummy Shane's going to come in here and talk about what he likes to eat. So that's all I got, Mike. Looking forward to seeing everybody this weekend. Be safe out there.
Oh, real quick, Shane.
Yeah.
I don't think we got this one. Cousin Blake just became a member of the channel. Appreciate you, Blake. And he gave us $10 as longtime listener, became a cousin. Go Gators. And just so, I thought he was an Ole Miss guy. He says Gators. He's got Lane Kiffin as his profile
Hell
pic.
yeah.
We know who he wants to be the next coach. I hope you get your way, Blake.
Abso-freaking-lutely. Hey, you want thoughts and prayers? King Henry got the clip today. So keep him in your thoughts and prayers. He is he's missing those little guys, you know?
I got you. Okay, yeah, that's a great place to end it, Shane. I appreciate you for making me bust here right before we hang off the line. But yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. Doubleheader, Steven's Picks, Mailbag Show with Cousin Shane. But until then, we'll catch you on the next one.
All right, see you guys. Go Vols.